Next question. Thoughts on how to deal with toxic/negative people?
Oh, those people. Yeah. So, first of all, it's important to recognize that those people exist everywhere. And everybody's got to deal with me. If you run into one of these people, don't get all surprised as if they're a lone ranger out there being negative. No, there's negative rangers all over the place. So, you got to know how to deal with them. And it's so when you're dealing with someone like that, first of all, confronting them, of course, as you can probably predict, is not usually the best option, because all you're doing is you're attacking their heavily defended position, which is not good. So one of the techniques that I use when dealing with these kind of people is I absorb their critiques. I absorb their toxicity. I absorb their negativity. Now, obviously, this takes a little bit of strength, right? You can't be taking stuff personally. You have to, in order to learn how to absorb things, you got to say, okay, I'm just doing this for the team, right? Mm-hmm. But it looks like, for instance, when they say, oh, this is horrible, I don't say, no, it's not horrible. I don't just go right back at them. I say, yeah, you know what? We definitely got some room for improvement, right? So I kind of just deflected it. And I kind of just absorb it, right? Absorb it a little bit. Because what they want to do is they're lashing out, right? They're throwing the negativity. They like those explosions. They like to see it hit something and blow up. That's what they're doing. That's how they roll. So you're going to absorb. You're going to catch it and pull it in, right? So when they're like, oh, we can never do this, I don't say, we can absolutely do this. No, because you're going to create the explosion that they're looking for. Instead, I'm saying, you know what? We might not be able to do it, but I'm going to give it a good solid try. I'm going to try and make it happen, right? So we're just deflected it a little bit, and they're going to throw you some other negative thing. And, you know, if they say, oh, this is stupid, I don't say, no, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. I don't do that. Don't go head to head. I'm going to say, you know what? There's definitely some room for improvement the next time around. You're right, 100%. Ooh, yeah, you just got deflected. And those reactions, they disarm these ultra negative people. And it kind of takes their fight from them. And it also makes them look like emotional extremists. So with the group, right? When somebody calls that out in the group, and they're coming across all extreme, and you just absorb it and negate it a little bit, it negates their view, or I shouldn't say negate, because negate means like totally cross out. When you just absorb it and deflect it a little bit, the rest of the team goes, oh, yeah, you know, oh, Echo, he's just super emotional. He's a negative. They see him for what he is, which is helpful for you, right? And then once I'm done absorbing their attacks and taking some of those shots, no big deal, then I'm going to start to override them somewhat with some positivity, which is going to be directed at them, right? So they were all negative, but I'm going to say, hey, what you did there really worked well. Or, you know, hey, good job on that. I don't know. I never could have figured that out like you did, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start getting in their head a little bit and start filling their head with some positive stuff. That's right. That's what I'm going to do. Man, you figured that out better than anybody. Nicely done. And I'm bringing them from the dark side over to the light. That's what I'm doing. I'm bringing them over. And actually, I used to have the funniest, one of my favorite guys in the SEAL teams. He was my first deployment to Iraq. He was the senior enlisted guy in our task units, and actually we're just bros. But when one of us would start getting a little off the reservation on something, like getting all addicted to some idea or something, the other one we would be looking at, like, I'd be telling him, like, we need to do this and this is bullshit, we need to do, and he'd look at me like, he'd be like, Jocko, come back, come back to the light, come on, we're over here, it's okay. We're all going to be okay. So when I would start getting negative, he would start pulling me back to the light, right? And same thing with me, with him. He would get all, you know, Matter of fact, he's the guy. Remember when we talked about Well,
Simplify, repeat. That
yeah,
guy?
no,
Yeah.
simplify, amplify, and repeat. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. He would also have to bring me back from the dark side, and I have to do it to him too if he started getting a little too negative. Good times. But the last thing I want to do with someone that's being super negative is I want to give them some ownership. I want to give them some ownership, some ability to make changes, some ability to have some kind of a positive impact on the mission. So I'm going to pick something that I think they can step up and handle, right? Something that is within their grasp and realm and ability, and I'm going to give it to them. And then I'm going to kind of overload them with help and with assistance and with guidance to make sure that they win. And that's going to start spinning them in a more positive direction.
Yeah.
So that's my way to deal with the big negative people out there. Just absorb and slowly counter.
I like that how you'd be like, hey, I like how you figured that out. And I said this before, but a good one is to say, hey, that's what I like about you. You're real, whatever, XYZ, you know? You get that feeling like, because people said that to me, that's what I like about you. You're real, whatever, you know? And it makes you want to, like, continue to be that, you know? And you're like, hey, he thinks I'm, a problem solver. So I'm gonna be aware and just continue to solve problems, you know?
You put the self-fulfilling prophecy in their own head.
Yeah.
The positive things that you want them to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
Good
a good
times.
one.